hello. Happy Monday, first Monday of April. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. My name is Lakeena McGee. You follow me at Keena McGee right there on the Twitter, as well as Keno's going to be on the IG. As you can see, no Sid today. He's over at G Rate getting ready for the Sox home opener against the Giants coming up. Of course, as you guys know, that they actually moved the start time up an hour because of some rain. We've had some pretty terrible weather here, in and out, on and off for the last like couple of days. So it's been a little bit crazy, but there's actually some more rain supposed to approach us tonight. So that's why they moved the game up. But we're still gonna have some fun. Hopefully, I'll be joined by a couple guest co-hosts. I actually have one coming up right now. You guys have heard him here and seen him here doing Bears reports and such. And also, too, he's a founder. He's actually one of our other bosses, too, the founder of War Media. He is the one, the only, Mr. Kyle Means. Kyle, how are you? We're back now.
All right. What's up, Lakeena?
Right. No problem. Happy, I guess Sox opener, I guess. But
Yeah,
we're
it's a celebration.
right. Yeah, where people can find you and all your stuff that you do, great stuff to do for War Media.
Yeah, at War Media, of course. At War Media on all major platforms, social, Twitter, Facebook, IG. You can connect with me through there. You can connect with me personally on Twitter at Means Matters and IG at K Mean. That's where I mostly like to be. If I really mess with you, you can get the Facebook too. But like I said, you got to earn that.
Right. That's true. That's right. I think we all agree on that. Of course, you can listen to his great podcast, all the podcasts he does covering sports, entertainment, politics, what have you. It's all right there wherever you get your podcasts and such. Yeah, and also too, of course, with us, you can find us on various Sports on Chicago's Facebook page, Facebook, Sports on Chicago on YouTube. Also, too, of course, we got a Twitter page as well as up and running, so you can check us out there. Also, of course, you can check us out also if you got a Roku TV, you can catch us on the Roku TV app, whether it's the app or whether it's the place, wherever place for that you got, you can download that. You download Sports on Chicago, type that in. It's all
Do I
right
have
there.
to do the Roku like Sid?
Right, yeah, if you want, yeah, of course. It's all you don't have to. Right,
I
you
don't know
don't
if I
have
can
to.
do all of Sid's catchphrases, but I can do Roku. I can do that.
There you go. Well, there you go. There you go. As I say, celebrate with the squad. Get with the program. Sports on Chicago is right there on Roku TV. And actually, you know what? Another one, I guess, co-hosts that are going to be joining us today. He's one of our big supporters of. He actually co-hosted the show for me for a little bit. Here when we did the studio over at CSR, the old CSR page. He is one of our biggest supporters. Lamont Scott. Lamont, how are you?
Hey, good evening. How y'all doing? I'm glad I can get that right, man. Glad to be here.
What's
All
up,
right.
man? Been a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's been
know. Yeah, I know, right? So it's been since we all kind of like all have talked, together in one, place. So it's great to see. So Lamont, real quick before we get started, where people can find you on your social media and such, some of the good stuff you got going on.
on Facebook. You can find me at Lamont Scott. On Instagram, it's Lamont Scott 69, and on Twitter, it's Lamont Scott 16.
All right, cool. So, we're gonna have some fun. Of course, we can provide all the stuff that we got for you. Sid's over at the Sox, Giants home opener. So, but let's go talk some baseball too. We got a lot to do today. We're gonna talk baseball. We're gonna talk national championship game. I know, if you guys know our buddy Lamont, he's pretty excited because LSU ladies won the national championship. We'll get to all that and all that's other transpire later on. And also, too, the Bulls got a big win against the Grizzlies, yesterday. If you guys were watching the women's championship game, we're going to have our buddy Mike Chen to preview the men's championship game that's coming up tonight. And, a whole lot to do here. But, first off, we're going to talk some baseball. Now, this weekend, it was kind of a mixed bag for our local teams. The Sox were able to salvage a 2-2 split against the defending champion Houston Astros. While the Cubs unfortunately lost the rematch of their series, they got dominated against the Brewers yesterday. Kyle, start with you. What's caught your attention so far in these your first few games? I know it's hard to make a synopsis of it after just like 3 or 4 games, but what's your best assessment so far among Sox or the Cubs?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of both. I mean, I think I'll start with the Sox. I think the Sox had a very encouraging weekend, being able to split 4 games at the defending champions. place. They messed up their ring ceremony day. Their opening day with a nice performance by Dylan Cease. No, overall, I think the starting pitching was very strong over the weekend, and they got to show quite a bit of the offense that is capable with their lineup this year. I was pretty happy to see what the Sox were able to do, and them being able to go, pretty head up with the defending champs. And as far as the Cubs go, Dansby Swanson is looking like he's worth the money right away, and it's great to see that he's so invested in what the Cubs have given him, as he should be. But he's buying into that team. Now the rest of that team needs to find ways to hit. That's the problem. He's the only one that's been hitting so far. But if that can happen over the course of the season, I think the Cubs can be a little bit more of a threat than people may expect this year. But as of now, it's pretty much the Darby, Dansby Swanson show. And also that going back to their opener, Stroman looked pretty strong too, which was good to see.
Lamont?
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking on what he said, the White Sox look real encouraging if they can kind of stay together and play together. And going to the north side, I think we just need those new players other than Dansby to do something. I mean, he's showing that he might be worth every dollar. He's showing that he can be the leader that they need over there, but he needs some help. Like you said, he needs some type of help. And Stroman did do spectacular. I'm just waiting to see, can everybody just fall in line? Can they continue that and at least be respectful? That's kind of all we asking for.
Right, and going back to the Sox for a second. I mean, they split their series against the defending champs. Which, look, you'll take if you're a Sox fan. Now they did fall to some of the bad habits. Leaving guys on base. The bullpen of course, they actually also benefited from Yadier Alvarez from not playing yesterday, taking the day off. So that might help the Sox a little bit there. But they were able to kind of capitalize on that. Now the Cubs, I mean, that was a great showing by Stroman. Probably one of his best showing, I guess, opener in his career. Now, unfortunately, if you saw Sunday's game, it was really kind of like their bullpen. I know Jamison Talon, took the loss, and unfortunately, you saw Christian Yelich, do his thing, scoring a couple runs and such. So it's really kind of like it's hard to kind of assess after, like I said, 3 or 4 games. But at the same time, though, I think it kind of went what we expected to. Don't you guys agree?
I mean, yeah, because the White Sox have a lot of expectations, but they got a lot of question marks at the same time. I mean, I'm surprised Moncada is showing up right now, but it's just 3 games, so we can't dig into it like that. But hopefully they can put it together. Hopefully that coach, it seems like he has a lot of energy on the bench. He might be a fired up kind of guy. So I'm hoping he can continue to get them fired up and make some noise. And on the north side, I think it's just a wait and see. We just got to wait and see, can the rest of those acquisitions do something with what's in front of them.
Yeah. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, pretty much the same. As far as the stocks go, you want to just see that consistency on the lineup, and you're gonna need quality starts throughout from the starting staff, especially given the uncertainty right now at the back of the bullpen. As they wait on what's going to happen with the closer and everything, and his health. Hendricks. So, until they can get to the back of that bullpen settled, they gotta make sure that they get quality starts from the starters and hope that everything falls in line from them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee. Being joined by a couple of special guest hosts for today. Now that Sid's at the ballpark. Kyle Means and Lamont Scott. Let's talk about MLB as a whole. We got a couple more minutes before we go to break. But what caught your eye this weekend in all of baseball? Lamont, I'll start with you.
Really, the pitching. I mean, people been hitting. But the pitching is what. Like, I thought it would be more dominant than what it has been, even though it had some dominant moments over the weekend. But the hitting is coming, but I thought the pitching should have been a little more dominant because they usually be like a little ahead. But other than that, and I mean, I'm looking forward to see what the Yankees gonna do, and I think the Dodgers have an attitude, so I'm looking forward to see the big money clubs do what they supposed to do. I think everybody else gonna pretty much fall in line. I don't think it's gonna be no tight situation going early, maybe the first month, but I think it's gonna just fall in place.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, it seems like there's gonna be a lot of carryover from last year as far as the contenders. People who got the money are spending it. So we are looking at the big money teams, whether you're talking about the Dodgers or the Padres, the Yanks, the Mets, Phillies, and maybe the Giants too out west. And of course, here in the central divisions, see if Cleveland is going to keep going and be a contender for someone who may be in the White Sox way, and the Cardinals and the Brewers for the Cubs. So it's as far as overall though with the league, I'm looking at those game times right now and the adjustments to the new rules and stuff. All that is pretty interesting as well. So yeah, it's a lot going on in sports right now. So it's kind of hard for me to look at a lot of the other teams outside of Chicago's teams this weekend. There's so much going on in sports. We obviously gonna get into a lot of that with the show, but yeah, I'm definitely excited for this baseball season. I'm excited to see the sport sort of re-evolve and be a little bit more entertaining than it's been in recent years. I think that's going to be the case.
I agree with you guys. The things that went wrong, it didn't really feel that way. So I think the rule changes are going to be kind of like.
That's not me, is it?
No, I say yeah. I'm hearing like some popping sounds. So I think mute yourself on, and then we'll see. And if not, if it's you, then maybe there's a little mutiny at the bottom. We're doing this live, folks. Sorry. Yeah. I think it's you may have to mute. You have to keep yourself muted when you're not talking. Yeah, because that popping sound's picking up. But it might be be where you're at. So right, yeah. So we may have to, you may have to mute. We'll see if we connect with him. But yeah. I mean, look, I like the way the Rays look. The Rays look really good. You gotta think they're not in a good mood after what happened last year. The Twins look pretty good. But then again, they looked real good. Last year they swept the Royals too, so that's not really saying much. The Dodgers, split their series against the Diamondbacks. The Rangers, I guess, they look pretty good. They swept the Phillies.
Really? I didn't catch. Yeah. I know they played the Sunday game, but I didn't know they swept the Phillies. Wow.
Oh yeah, they
swept
No, go ahead.
Well, I was saying Texas they spent a lot of money the past 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Last year didn't really do much for them, but this year, when you get what's the pitcher the ace they got? DeGrom. Yeah, you get DeGrom like that. That does so much for you right off top. And then everything else seems to fall in line from that. So I'm the first. Like I say, I didn't keep up with everything. I was trying to keep up with so much this weekend, but seeing that they were able to sweep the defending national champions, that's impressive to me. That right there. So yeah, I'll keep a lookout on the Rangers definitely.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are definitely a team to watch out for, especially with the DeGrom signing. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Lamar, real quick, what caught your eye? What team impressed you so far? Well, I know it's only a few games, but just tell us about real quick.
Like he said, the Rangers. I mean, if the Rangers can put it together, we've been waiting on them to put it together for about 7 or 8 years. That hasn't happened. But if they can put it together, and I'm really just waiting on the San Diego, New York situation. Like, who gonna? I mean, all that money, something got to give. Either somebody gonna be losing jobs or they gonna play ball. One or the other, but some had. Yeah.
Well, let's also mention too. We talk about LA, of course the Dodgers, but we gotta focus too on those Angels,
right?
Because especially coming off of the WBC, and the intrigue that was involved with Ohtani and Mike, and how is that going to play into their shared mission now as teammates? And of course, there's the overall frustration of that franchise having arguably the two best players in baseball and not doing a damn thing with it, not even get to the playoffs. They got to do something this year, I think, or something's got to shake with that duo.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
think I don't think Otani gonna stick around the whole year. I think because
Right.
I think he gonna realize that it's being wasted, and I don't think Trout ain't going nowhere. So I think Otani might be the one to end up leaving because it doesn't really make a lot of sense that they continue to fall into the same trap every year with all their
Mhm.
talent over there. And I mean, they got a lot of talent other than just them two. They
Right.
got
Yeah.
plenty of people over there, and they spent plenty of money also. So I don't know if it's where the stadium located at or something like that. That's like a bad juju or something. So
Right.
who
You,
knows?
you talk about some of that other talent. Rendon was ready to snap on
Right.
that one
Oh
kid,
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
They might have to
Yeah.
watch out the fans, who they
yeah. I mean,
heckle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough out there in California, man. I mean, I just think something's gonna give though. I don't think they're gonna do the same regular Angels where they just win a little bit, lose a lot. I think they're gonna make some type of move or something gonna give. Something gonna give.
Mhm.
It
Yeah, the
could be
pressure's on
Otani.
quite a few teams, and
Right.
that it may come to a point, like I say, when we get to that trade deadline, who's going to make moves, who's not, who's going to have that most pressure on them to win now, and how is that going to play itself out when it comes to this season? It's going to be pretty fun, I think.
Yeah, it should be very interesting too. Real quick, as we get to the series, of course, the Cubs will be, going on the road for the first time. They'll face Cincinnati, starting tonight. Also, too, of course, the Sox, um, mm, host San Francisco. Of course, there's a 2-10 game. That's why Sid's not here. They're gonna be that should be an interesting one there too. Some of the games are gonna be on television. Atlanta and St. Louis. That'll be tonight at 6:45 on ESPN Plus, and TBS returns with their Tuesday game of the week. It'll be the Phillies and the Yankees. That should be a fun one there. And of course, also on ESPN Plus, you got Colorado and the Dodgers. That's tomorrow. And of course, on Wednesday, you got the Mets and the Brewers. So some really great matchups early on. So it should be a fun full week. We get to the first full week of baseball. So we're gonna take a really quick break. We're gonna talk some Bulls and NBA. Bulls got a big win yesterday. We'll talk about that, all the weirdness that happened in that game. Also, too, some trouble with some teams. Maybe perhaps a certain team might be tanking, and it's not the Bulls. So we'll talk all about all that. Of course, we got my Chen cut up at the top of the hour to preview the men's national championship game that we commencing tonight over in Houston. So a lot to do still. Lakeena McGee, Kyle Means, Lamont Scott, this Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago. NBA talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
All right, welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee. Follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG. As you guys can see, no Sid today, but got a couple of good friends. You'll join me as my guest co-host today. Of course, you got War Media founder Kyle Means, also one of our biggest supporters of the show, Lamont Scott. Join us where people can find you on the social media. Lamont, I'll start with you.
On Facebook, Lamont Scott. On Twitter, Lamont Scott 16, and on Instagram, Lamont Scott 69.
And Kyle?
Yeah, on Twitter at Means Matters, on IG at KMean, and of course at War Media, all the outlets for War Media. You can reach me there as well, and any of our good friends if you want to do business or just give us a shout.
Give growing the business. All we want to do here. We all want to have a little bit of growth. It looks like the Bulls are showing a little bit of growth too. I'm not going to talk about their. They had a good weekend this weekend. I'm not going to talk about Friday's win against the Hornets. By 30 points. I mean, that they should have done that, but I guess they have managed a couple losses from this season. But I want to talk about this big win they got yesterday. For those of you who missed it, they beat the Grizzlies. They were down by as much as 23 points in the first half. They came back. They outscored the Grizzlies 75 to 39. They ended up winning 128-107. Now they're in a really good spot with 4 games left in the season. And DeRozan had 31 points and 7 assists. Of course, Zach LaVine had 36 points to lead the way there as well. Vooch has his usual double-double with 13 and 10, but also 10 defensive rebounds. That's the key. So, this was a crazy game from start to finish. Of course, the Grizzlies, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. You thought that, they had that great start. You thought, oh, great, this is going to be a blowout. Turns out not to be the case. The Bulls kicked into gear, and it looks like Pat Bev had a lot to do with that, if you believe what Billy Donovan said. So, Kyle, I'll start with you. What do you think about that this whole win, this crazy win that the Bulls got yesterday?
Yeah, like you said, it was wild, and it's the type of game, we all used to runs, like a game of runs, the NBA being, because, with the 3-point shot and with the, just the talent level, you're never really out of a game unless you want to be in the NBA. But with the Bulls, I think, given us all of our experiences with the Bulls and this year's team, it was easy to think that once they fell behind in the way that they did to Memphis, that it was just going to be a rough Sunday afternoon, at the UC. But the grit and the heart that they showed in that second half was very admirable. And it was really just, I think, the best example yet of the type of play that they've been offering in the past 2 weeks, really encouraging stuff that, as you say, Lakeena, they've been able to play themselves firmly into the play-in position now, where they can maybe even win just one game and get themselves in that postseason proper. So the defense, the overall effort, the ability to make teams turn over the ball, and they did that to great effect yesterday, and they kept the ball secure themselves. They got a lot of scoring, not only from the big three, but Kobe White was great. Mm-hmm. And, P. Will was contributing again, as he's been able to do a bit more in recent times. And, it's really just an outstanding effort and really encouraging to see. Like a couple weeks ago, I was firmly like, I wasn't really tripping at all if the Bulls missed the playoffs entirely. It was like, maybe they should be in that lottery and see if they could luck out and get in that top 3 and get one of these possible transformative players that are going to be there, Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, whatever. But, they can play themselves into this postseason. They have shown themselves to be a team that could be a threat for some teams in that East, not necessarily the best teams, but they could be a team still that can make a little noise. And I think it would be good for that team and their psyche, going forward if they can make something of themselves this year.
Well, and before you say anything, Lamont, I want to make sure to tell our viewers and listeners that feel free to comment on Sports Chicago's Facebook page and also our YouTube page. So, questions, comments, whatever you think about. So, Lamont, what did you think about the Bulls, that big win yesterday?
I mean, it was a great win, but is that the Bulls that's been hurting us all year, that beat a good team and then go on a bad losing streak again? I mean, when they play like that, that's how I feel like they're supposed to play, because they have the talent level to play like that. But if they gonna just beat a good team and lose, that's been our story all year, and that's been the frustrating part about the Bulls all year. And like Cal said, Kobe White has been real impressive lately, and P. Will's contributions have been good, but can they keep it consistent? And as he said, also, they could play themselves into a pretty good situation right now, but it's like they can let us down so much this year, so we kind of just gotta ride. You in the car, you just ride with the car. You don't put your hand out the window and wave to people. You just riding in the car and see what happens. I mean, you're rooting for the best, and I'm just happy they didn't let Ja go off like the last time he was in the
right.
field. I mean, it's like when he come here, he seemed to lose his mind. So I'm glad they kept that in check. So it's just it's like a wait and see thing. It's like that ex-girlfriend that left you and she ain't gonna call you back. So you just gonna wait and see.
I was gonna say right quick, definitely Lamont, you right, man. They have not been dealing well with success, and they've always seemed to play up to good talent and play down the bad talent. The good thing about this part of the season is that there's pretty much no bad teams that they're going to see going forward. Yeah. They're pretty much in playoff mode now. So if they can keep up the mentality and the urgency that they're playing with now through the next couple weeks, then we'll see them, I think, compete well in the play-in and possibly in a first round series. Now, and also like this last thing I was going to say was that over the past 10, 12 games or so, they have been consistent. Mm-hmm. Like Lamont said, usually for the prior 70 or so games, it's been like 2 wins, 2 losses. 2 wins, like they just been splitting everything evenly. But over these last dozen or so games, they've played their best basketball of the season, and they've won more than they lost. So they haven't just been a 500 team over this last couple of weeks. So I think I'm encouraged by what I've seen, like I said, and I'm looking to see what the matchups are going to be in that play-in, and possibly in that first round. Maybe they can make some noise.
Yeah, the Grizzlies. The first win, versus the Grizzlies, I think it's like 2019 or 2018. So it's been a while since the Bulls have been the Grizzlies. So you'll take the win if you're the Bulls, and take the comeback. Now, a couple other scores from this weekend, of course. Last night, Nikola Jokic did not play in this Nuggets game. But the Nuggets did edge out the Warriors 112-110. The woes continue for the Warriors, and also too, they had a couple of chances. Steph had a shot at a 3-point. I don't know why he went for the 3, but okay. I think Clay had a couple of chances. So real quick, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, the Warriors, it's getting a little crazy out west. We'll get to that in a second. But what do you think about that game yesterday? What do you guys think about that game yesterday?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of jump balls. It was a lot of tie-ups at the end. It was a lot of. It seemed like the end of that game just went into like mass confusion. And Clay had a couple of shots, Steph had a shot, but it's just like it went to mass confusion over the last like 45 seconds or so of the game. And that's the Warriors. The Warriors, like you say with the Bulls a minute ago, Cal, the Warriors have been inconsistently uncomfortable, is what I've been calling them all year, because y'all can do it, but it's for some reason y'all don't want to do it. And I don't think it has nothing to do with the Draymond Poole situation. I think it's just they think they could just cut it on at the last minute, and the West just not having that this year. And I think that's what's killing. And then this road stuff, if they think they're going to go into these playoffs and win on the road like that because they win at home, or people still intimidated because they're the Warriors, them days are over for the most part. yes, Wiggins is coming back, but how much is he really gonna push all over that top y'all need to get to? So it's a wait and see with them also. So I'm waiting to see with them also.
Yeah, Wiggins gonna need time to get back going again. He's missed 21 games. And he's gonna need time to get himself in gear again. And like you say, Lamont, I guess they've just taken for granted their ability as a championship team to be able to turn it, like you say, turn it off and on. And they've really had nothing to offer the whole season on the road. And they're going to be a lower seeded team in the postseason. They're a 6 seed right now. So, they're set up right now to play the Kings. They go into that Rocket Stadium up in Sacramento playing the way that they play. They're not going to make
run them out the building.
Yeah, so they gotta really refocus themselves and do it quick, fast, and in a hurry, or they're just gonna be knocked out in this first round. I think that could really happen for them. So it's weird just to see, like again, speaking to that last sequence yesterday, them having so many shots at winning and not knock anything down. Curry having the shot. Clay having a shot, and it just didn't happen for him. So this happens with every great team. They reach a point where everything tips over for them, and they stumble back down to reality. So it looks like we're seeing that with the Warriors at this point.
Talking NBA here on Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Lakeena McGee, Kyle Means, and Lamont Scott with you, talking some hoops here on the pro side. The Lakers, they could be a scary team, but they could actually overtake the Warriors, believe it or not. I'll talk about that scenario in just a second. But AD had 40 points. LeBron had another triple double, his second of the season against the Rockets. So it looks like they're starting to get together a little bit. LeBron's looking a little bit better. Of course, people remember he's in his late 30s now, so he's not going to be the LeBron that we saw, but just a fraction of that. I mean, they also had a nice win against Minnesota. Talking about the Lakers, how dangerous you guys think the Lakers could be? We talk about the Bulls could be dangerous. How about the Lakers?
I'd say the Lakers are more of a threat in the West than the Bulls are in the East.
The Lakers are dangerous simply because of.
No, we got some cross. Finish your boy Kyle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll just say the Lakers would be a little bit more of a threat in the West than the Bulls would be in the East, I would believe, and primarily that's because you got AD and LeBron at the top of their roster, and some of the other moves that they did, going back to the trade deadline, they made a much more a dangerous team of themselves with those moves. So Vanderbilt and Russell and the likes, I like that. I like the moves that they made going back to then. So, as they proved this week with the Bulls games earlier this week, even if you can get them one time, they know how to come back and get you the next time. So I don't see any team necessarily dominating them. They probably, the Lakers may not, again, they're slotted right now as the 7 to go against the Grizzlies. So Grizzlies probably would overtake them in that series, but I think the Lakers wouldn't make it easy at all.
Yeah, and like you said, they are much more dangerous than the Bulls in the East because they have established leaders who know where to go and what to do. We still learning over there in the East. Zach ain't won nothing. Lamar came close so many times, but never got nowhere really. But with them Lakers, and then like you said, those moves that they made, those were solid basketball moves. They got some basketball players to go on that team. And that has made all of the difference. Like if I was voting for Executive of the Year, Rob would get some votes simply because of what he pulled off at the trade deadline. I mean, nobody saw none of that coming. And he pulled it off. So, he'll get some votes if he was like, if I was voting for Executive of the Year.
They salvaged that season. They salvaged that season because if they made anything less than what they did, I don't think they would be in the play-in. Let alone the top 6 or 7. They did what they needed to do.
Right. So I think he definitely salvaged this season, and probably his job too. So one thing, but another West team that right. Link Card and Pink Slip. Yeah, exactly. But some heads might be rolling here on this other Western Conference team. Dallas did not have a good weekend. They lose to the Heat 129-122 on Saturday. And yesterday they lose a tough one to the Hawks in overtime 132-130. Now, of course, Sean Sharna, who does a great job with at Stadium and all the other great work that he does, he's reporting that he's hearing that they might sit Luka and Kyrie and might just sell the rest of these next 4 games for the Mavs. So, Kyle, I'll start with you. What do you think about that potential rumor?
Yeah, that's a stunning development. But when you think about it, it's like, yeah, maybe you might as well do that if you're Dallas. Like, you're not really, the odds are you're not going to make the postseason, even the play-in. And even if you do, you're probably going to score a bunch of points, give up a bunch more, and lose in 4 or 5 games. So, Dallas, they got a lot of thinking to do. They got a lot of re-strategizing to do right now. They probably not going to even have this Kyrie person. I'm trying to categorize him in a certain way without being too offensive, but he's a wild dude, man, and he's not. I don't know what he really gives you in any context at this point right now. Like, Dallas has proven it again with him. Like, you take him on, he can give you some nice buckets and ball handling and all this stuff, but it's a lot of other stuff with it that is not really worth it. And if you don't have a team that is really constructed perfectly around him, what is he going to give you but stress and strife? So, I don't know if he's willing to come back to Dallas, if Dallas at this point is even willing to do business with him going forward. But what they did in February to get all those headlines, it didn't work. And it's the opposite of what happened in LA. And Dallas got to regroup immediately, and they'll have time to do it starting next week.
No, I want to pose a quick question to Cal, but like, I don't think it's all Kyrie, man. I mean, Luka is he kind of out of control, and they gave up all they can't play defense for nothing. So it's like you said, they got a lot of rethinking and restructuring to do. But going forward, if Luka gonna continue to be Luka, yeah, he great. Yeah, he gonna go out and give you his triple double pretty much every night. But if he not being that, if you want to use the LA reference with LeBron, if he's not being that leader, then I think, of course, Kyrie gonna be Kyrie. But when he was under LeBron, he had that leader. I think he still needs that leader in front of him, and I don't think Luka is like that person right now. I just think it's like it was just a bad little mix right now. It's like the gumbo turned out bad.
Dead on, Lamont. You dead on, man. Look, Luka's got to do some. He's got to do some thinking about himself too. Like, what type of ball player is he really? What type of leader is he? Is he going to be a one-dimensional dude or not? He don't give you nothing on defense. He talks all this stuff and gets into it with the refs. And they let him off the hook for that 1-game suspension. They probably shouldn't have, but they did that because he's a star. But that's only gonna get him so far going forward. Yeah. And he's got to mature. And like I said, yeah, it ain't just, I did jump on Kyrie, but it wasn't him. He was brought into a situation that was faulty. And Dallas, they have a lot to regret. They should be regretting not bringing back
Jalen
Brunson. They should be regretting that right now because of what he's doing with New York. And that's just a franchise that like I say, from top to bottom, they got a lot of things they need to work on going into the summer.
Yeah, it could be very interesting to see what happens there. Now, as we go to the schedule real quick for the rest of this week, of course, no games tonight. Of course, you got the national championship game. That's been a tradition with the NBA since I think like the early 90s. They started doing that, not playing those games. Tomorrow, Tuesday, you got Toronto. Well, I'll just do the most important ones. Miami and Detroit, they're trying to improve their positioning. Cleveland and Orlando, Milwaukee, they got a big win. They'll play Washington at 6. Also, too, you got Minnesota and Brooklyn, Boston and Philadelphia. That's going to be the TNT game, the low TNT game. Also, the Bulls, they're back in action. If they beat the Hawks, not only will they clinch one of those playing spots, but they can go all the way up to the 9 seed. So, I mean, the eighth seed, I should say. So, also too, tiebreakers and such. So that all could come into play too. So, so look out for there. Of course, the Lakers and Utah at 8 o'clock. OKC and Golden State, still a lot of jockeying position there. Phoenix and they host the Spurs at 9. They had a nice little weekend as well. On Wednesday, you got the Knicks and the Pacers, the Wizards and the Hawks. Get the first game of the ESPN doubleheader, of course, is the Bulls and Milwaukee. Could be some interesting things for positioning there in the Eastern Conference. And Dallas, and as they host Sacramento, hopefully they can get it together. We'll see. And the Battle of LA in that last the 9 o'clock game, we got the Lakers and the Clippers. That's the second game of the ESPN doubleheader. This is a big one because there's only like a half game separated between the 4 teams, in the West. So this could be huge for both tiebreakers and for positioning too. Lakers go all the way up to a 5th seed in the West. That's how crazy it is right now out West. So that could be big there. On Thursday, you got Miami and Philadelphia. That's the first game of the TNT doubleheader. And let's see, the last game of the TNT doubleheader. The second game, you got the Nuggets hoping to get revenge as the Suns beat them over the weekend, on their home court. Hopefully Denver will, can return the favor and beat the Suns. That should be a fun one at 9 o'clock. Could be a Western Conference final preview. We'll have to wait and see. So real quick before we go to break, either of those games kind of catch your eye?
The Bulls game, because it's a good team, so I want to see who they show up. I mean, they can't ever seem to stop Drew Holiday, so we'll see if they show up for that. And then the Lakers game, I want to see, who won it. And if the Lakers are as threatening as they're supposed to be, if tradition follows, they're gonna hit the Clippers across the head and keep it moving. But we're gonna have to wait and see what happens.
Kyle?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I want to see the Bulls in a situation with the Hawks where they can sort of leapfrog a team that's right ahead of them, see what type of killer instinct they may have at this point, if they've gained any. And that they say that Clippers Lakers game is always interesting in the Battle of LA, and like I say, what effect is going to have in that bunched up middle in the West. I want to see who can, when you look at the 5, 6, or 7 teams, Clippers, Warriors, and Lakers, who can get in that 5th spot and play the Suns. Whoever we may be bound for a very interesting first round 4 or 5 matchup either way. So, whatever, either one of those teams that get in against the Suns, if the Suns look like they're going to stay in that 4th spot, that's going to be one of the best series, I think, potentially of that first round.
Absolutely. So it should be a fun one there. Now we're going to take a really quick break. We got our buddy Mike Chen on deck. We're going to talk about the national championship game between San Diego State and UConn. Will San Diego State get their first national championship, I think, in any sport? I don't think they've ever won a championship. Or will UConn, this will be their 5th, on the men's side. So we'll also recap the women's championship as well. Old School TV Monday, maybe a little NFL tools sprinkle in. So we got a lot to do still in the hour 2 seconds of sports. Sports on Chicago. We'll be back with Mike Chen coming up right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Oh, welcome back to Hour 2 of Second City Sports on SportsZone Chicago. Lakeena McGee. No Cindy Brown today, but I've got a couple of good friends, other good friends of mine. Guest co-hosting with me today, Kyle Means and Lamont Scott. Let's not waste any time, gentlemen. We got probably one of the craziest March Madnesses, NCAA tournaments that we've ever seen. Probably a recent memory at the very least. Commences tonight as San Diego State and UConn will be facing each other tonight for the men's national championship. And to preview it, a guy who's become one of our favorites here in this program. Of course, it's only fair that we did the tournament preview show with him. It's only fair that we would do the culmination of the men's basketball season. He does a great job covering college football and men's hoops for both the Buckeyes and Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. So without further ado, let's go. The one, the only, the amazing Mike Chen. Mike, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks again for having me.
No problem. Okay, so let's get right to it. I know you got a busy schedule ahead, so we won't keep you too long. But what are sort of like your synopsis? I mean, both the Aztecs and the Huskies play defense. We've seen the Huskies dominate. I think there's kind of going to be up there as like one of the most the biggest point differential should they win the national championship. Now the Aztecs needed a great buzzer beater by Lamont Butler. That was amazing. And of course, you got UConn that's been dominating with their defense. So, which do you think will have the edge tonight?
It's hard to tell. As you said, UConn's really had it easy. All double-digit wins here so far in the NCAA tournament. They've just kind of flown through it. They've got what modern college basketball looks like. You've got a mix of a couple upperclassmen, and then you've got a couple freshmen mixed in there that are big-time contributors. The big difference there is San Diego State, juniors and seniors. There's a reason why their last two games, both 1-point wins, that they've been able to pull it out. Because they understand they're older. They're on that edge where they understand what needs to be done. I mean, the game against Florida Atlantic, I mean, who would have thought that, midway through that game that San Diego State was going to come back, right? Epic comeback. They did everything they needed to do. You watch the last possession, you're like, everything has to work out correct. They have to get the stop. They have to get the rebound. They have to call the timeout. They have to get a good shot. And they did everything. And obviously Butler with that big shot. It's hard to really say what's going to stand out here. I think if it's a tight game, you'd have to expect that San Diego State has the advantage. If it's more loose up tempo, you go with UConn. But it just depends which team's able to impose their will early. And if UConn can get ahead and jump ahead and stay ahead, I think they might be able to cruise to another championship.
I mean, I think
Lamont, yeah.
I think, like he was saying, I mean, those juniors and seniors, those seniors make a big difference. I think they're gonna make a difference. But like you mentioned a second ago, if they get into a Connecticut type of basketball game, I don't think San Diego State can keep up. I mean, they, like you said, they've had it pretty much easy. They've flown through the tournament pretty much. But not only that, they look dominant doing it, and they was doing it on both ends. So I'm anxious to watch and anxious to see what's gonna happen. But I'm thinking the juniors and the seniors gonna have to come completely through and play the game of their life to make that happen.
Kyle.
Yeah, pretty much going off what the guys say, it's going to be pace is going to be very important. How many shots can UConn create for themselves? Can they get multiple chances at the basket? If San Diego can minimize UConn's athleticism and ability on the offensive side of the court, end of the court, I should say, then they'll give themselves more of a chance. And of course, we always know when you're an underdog, you want to play as close as you can towards the end of the game and create that amount of doubt in the higher seeded team and the more favored team. But I like UConn though in this game. They've been so steady and consistent in the postseason, and they really have that sort of air of a national title team about them. But I'm rooting for San Diego as well as an underdog, but I don't think they're going to have enough to take it in the end.
How about Jordan Hawkins' health, Mike? I know that he was a little bit under the weather the last couple days before Saturday. He actually played okay. Had 13 points. Of course, he had Sanogo, and of course, so much depth on that UConn team. So, what's his status for tonight? Do you know?
I'm unaware of the exact status for him this evening, but you'd have to think. Look, it's the final game of the year. It's all hands on deck, right? I mean, they've got one left. You've got, how many months until, 6 months until training camp starts again. There's nothing to lose here. Unless it's a season-ending type of injury, you'd have to expect he's going to go. I mean, 26 minutes, like you said, not super effective, still scored 11 points and had 3 rebounds. So it's not like he didn't play well. It's not up to, obviously, his standards. But I think if push comes to shove, I think Hawkins is going to go as long as they need to go for tonight.
Mutt?
I think, like you said, all hands on deck. I don't think the health gonna come into play. Like you said, that's it. Ain't no more, ain't no tomorrow. Kind of like yesterday, ain't no tomorrow. That's it. Everything going, everything in. And like Cal said a minute ago, I just don't think I'm rooting for the underdog also, but I don't think San Diego State can pull it out. I just think UConn trying to establish themselves and become the new blue blood. So I think they're gonna go out there with a little chip on their shoulder also and try to put them away. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see, can they do it? That's the intrigue to me for the game. Can they do it? I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it.
I got a question for Mike.
I guess just going off of the tournament as a whole, Mike, what are your thoughts like on how it's played out and how it's been unprecedented in a lot of ways with the ways that the top seeds have been knocked out, prior to the Final Four. What are your main takeaways from the tournament this year, and what do you think it says about the college game right now?
I think it says a lot about the fact that the transfer portal plays a huge part into teams being able to just pick and choose what they need. You as a team right now, it's not just you recruit. You're also going out there and looking at the portal, and it's record numbers of guys are getting put in the portal, and teams can turn around so quickly. You need 1-2 guys that are solid. You can go get some depth and some added starters out in the portal. So I think it just goes to show you that in this day and age of college basketball and even college sports in general, I mean, if you look at the women's side as well, LSU, 9 of their main players were transfers, right? So you're looking at the fact that it's not just about what they can get on the recruiting trail anymore. It is just a grand scheme of who can they find on the transfer portal that fits the best in that system and teams can turn around really, really quickly. I mean, you obviously, UConn is a I wouldn't call them a sleeping giant. They're a blue blood in my eyes. I mean, they're always a solid program. Yeah, they might have, it's been a while since they've won a title, but they're, college basketball, as we've seen now, the best teams don't win. I mean, Alabama was the best team in my eyes heading into the tournament, and they didn't last long. You look at Purdue getting knocked off early, Duke coming in with tons of momentum, Houston, another team where you looked at them and you're like, well, they have all the, the makings of a title contender, and no one seed made it to the Final Four. Highest seed of UConn is a 4, which is crazy to think, but I think that's the norm that we're going to see going forward. I don't think it's going to go. I think that the days of seeing multiple 1 seeds and 2 seeds in the Final Four are over. I think what we're seeing this year is what we're going to be seeing a lot more in the future. Lower seeds making a run. I mean, FAU, they're not going to catch anybody by surprise next year, are they? No, I actually think they're going to be, top 15 type of team as long as they are able to keep a lot of their guys from this year. You're looking at a college basketball. It's just the landscape has completely changed with NIL and the transfer portal. And honestly, I love it. I like seeing new teams being in a championship game. I mean, obviously, UConn's not a new team, but, San Diego State getting an opportunity to play for a title. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, you just answered my next question about, it is going to be a trend. So you just answered my question there. So I guess you kind of read my mind. As we're talking college hoops with Mike Chen, who does a great job writing stuff for both the Buckeyes and the Irish here on Second City Sports on Sports Show Chicago. Lakeena McGee, Kyle Mees, and Lamont Scott with you now. Who do you think are going to be the X factors for this game? I mean, there's both these teams can go pretty deep. So who do you think are going to be? You usually see like unsung heroes come out of nowhere. We saw on the women's side last night. So what do you think?
This one's it's really tough to me. To like narrow it down to like a certain player, but I'm gonna go for UConn. I'm gonna go with their freshman big man, Donovan Clingan. You can't teach size. He's huge, and and really when you look at San Diego State's roster, they're good. They're big, but they're not that big. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 7'2", 265 pounds. Mm-hmm. I think really the only guy that could kind of match his size across the nation is Zach Edey. I mean, really, he's an absolute huge human being. And I think that what he's done up to this year, they're probably not going to be like, oh, freshman's going to beat me. But I think that, when you're talking about an X factor and a guy that could get playing time and can make plays, I think he's it. And then for San Diego State, I really like Jadon Ledee. A transfer as well, a guy that isn't a local guy. When you look at their roster, you got a bunch of Californians on there, right? And he's from Texas. Playing at home, I think he's going to have that extra juice. I really do. And I think that he's that guy because he's been around. Again, it's hard to pick for San Diego State because they've got so many older upperclassmen, and any of those guys, and they've been doing it all year. Any of those guys can be that X factor. But I think that just playing at home, probably in his last game in a college uniform, I think Ledee actually has a pretty big game.
I mean, agreeing with what you said, Mike, I think it's a situation where I think it's hard to pinpoint one person. I think San Diego State gonna have to kind of have a collection of people like the girls did yesterday, and have everybody show up. And then everybody show up, it's gonna be a long night for UConn. But if everybody show up and just do their job and do their role, I think it could go good for San Diego State. I'm still going with UConn, but I think if they all show up like the girls did yesterday, it could be trouble.
I think with their guard play, right quick, like going back to what I said before, they can keep the pace slow for UConn on offense, get rebounds, get out in the fast break, in the transition, and make UConn run back on, struggle to get back on defense. Maybe they could pick up the type of quick points that they need to stay in the game and keep UConn on their toes. And like I say, they got to play a classic sort of underdog Cinderella game here to keep themselves in it and possibly win.
Should be interesting. It will be. We'll do our final predictions in a minute here as we a few more minutes here with our buddy Mike Chen on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Let's talk a little Notre Dame Blues for a second, Mike, because of course Micah Shrewsbury. They just named a new men's basketball coach. Look, I'm not a big Notre Dame football fan, as you guys all know, but I always have a soft spot for the men's and women's hoops teams. But I think do you think that he could be the guy? Of course, he's from the area. He knows that area very well. He can recruit. So, do you think he could be that guy that kind of get Notre Dame hoops back to that prominence?
I actually do, and as you mentioned, he's a former Purdue assistant. Obviously, went on to lead Penn State this past year or past 2 seasons, and really elevated that Penn State program. And again, what did he use? He used the transfer portal. What is he going to use at Notre Dame? He's going to use the transfer portal. He's already got some guys that in the portal that are looking at going to Notre Dame. Obviously, losing JJ Starling, that was a big loss. But at that point in time, Starling didn't know who the new coach was. They could only tell him so much as to like, oh, this is who we're looking at, but we haven't agreed with anybody. So understandable for him to move on. But, Shrewsbury, Indiana guy, understands, is going to use his connections when he was at Purdue to recruit the state, recruit nationally as well. I believe his son's going to follow him from Penn State over to Notre Dame. So I like what what they're building and what is going to happen. I wouldn't expect a drastic turnaround in year one. I think more we're looking at a 2 to 3 year quote unquote rebuild. Just very similar to what he did at Penn State. Have them competitive around 500 in year one, then year two, really make a move in the ACC, get to the tournament, can make waves then. So I love the hire. I think that he, among the guys that were candidates, I liked him the best just because of those Indiana roots. And I really think that they did a home run job in picking him out.
Definitely did a great job. Jack Shore, but actually definitely did a great job. Great hire there as well. And interesting to note, though, too, we actually didn't talk about this when we first had you on. Notre Dame actually has both the football coach, Marcus Freeman, now Michael Shrewsbury, and also Real Ivy, who, of course, won a national championship at Notre Dame. All 3 of them are African-American. I did not think that you would see that at Notre Dame, of all places.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not something normal. I think they're one of the they're probably like the only school. I haven't done the research, but I think they're one of the only schools that have that combination. So, kudos to Swerbrick. He's done a great job. He understands what's going on and how to appease fans, the players, everything that goes on with Notre Dame. And, it shows that they don't care. They want what's best for the university, and those people who are best for the university, and they're going to continue. And look, those 3 coaches, they could probably stay at Notre Dame for as long as they want. They're not going to, most likely, they're not going to be shown the door. They're going to have to leave on their own accord. So I love what they're building over there in South Bend.
So you guys are getting anything else from Mike before we do our predictions?
I'd say South Bend looking like Chocolate City right now, man. Look at it like that, That's wild. But
it is.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up, Lakeena. I just wanted to ask right quick, Mike, because you went plugged in with the Big Ten too. Like one thing I noticed, we compare the women's tournament to the men's tournament. Big Ten keeps laying duds in the men's tournament. The women represented though this year. You got Iowa in the championship game. Maryland went deep. Ohio State went deep. What do you think is the difference right now? What are the women programs doing that the men are?
It's hard to say. I think recruiting has really, for the women especially, I think it's really been really a step above. You have a generational player like Caitlin Clark. It's hard to, it's hard to mess that up, and she showed that. But I just think that overall, in general, when you look at the recruiting inside of women's basketball compared to the men's for the Big Ten, it's just so much better. I mean, it's a couple of the programs that you mentioned. You can throw Indiana in there as well. They're very, very good as well. Actually, I got a chance to watch one of their recruits, Lene Beaumont. She's one of the best female high school basketball players I've ever seen in person. She's absolutely amazing. She's going to Indiana next year. It all comes down to recruiting.
They were one seed too, weren't they? They got knocked
Indiana,
out by Miami.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Indiana.
I forgot about them. Yeah.
Right. So, the Big Ten women's basketball, I just think that, there's that level that the men haven't gotten to. I mean, when you think about it, like there's a couple of good teams on the men's side, but they constantly beat each other up. The women do the same thing. They do beat each other up during the conference season, but at the end of the day, they're more set up. The women are more set up because they're more guard orientated. And what wins in the NCAA tournament? It's guard play. And when you look at the best players in the Big Ten on the men's side, they're forwards and centers. They're not guards. They're just not big. Big men. 20 years ago, big men played. You need guards. You need forwards. You need wings that shoot the three. It's not about that down low game anymore. It's all about what guard play you have. And unfortunately for the Big Ten on the men's side, it's down right now. It really is. And for them to get to that level, you're talking about good guard play. I mean, Michigan State was the last championship for the Big Ten, and who led that team? It was guards, right?
Yep.
It was Mateen Cleaves.
Yep.
Right, exactly. Guard play. And that's what the men's side is missing. It's elite level guard play.
Yeah, hopefully they can get to that point. Hopefully it'll be another 23 years before we see another Big men's team win a championship. So, okay, guys. All right, real quick. Who's going to win a national championship game? Mike, I'll start with you.
I'm going to take UConn. I love their mix. The old, the vets, the young athletic team. Big, Jordan Hawkins should play. We're good with that. Andre Jackson's great. Adama Sonogo is like one of my favorite players. You just don't expect him to be able to do what he does. And then you're just like, whoa, like a guy that big can move like that and then shoot the three and shoot the three as well. He's a fantastic player. And this is no slight on San Diego State. It's just, I think the talent level is just different between the two teams. And I don't know if, I'm not going to say that UConn's going to cruise to this. I think actually it's a tighter game than most people are expecting. I think it's within 5 to 8 points, but I still think that UConn pulls it out at the end of the day.
All right.
I gotta go with UConn too. Unless Cinderella plan on showing up at the last minute, I don't see them pulling it off. It's just UConn got a lot, and I think they're gonna show it. Like we mentioned earlier, they want to become that blue blood from everybody. I mean, I might think it, you may think it, but they want that respect from everybody. And if you look over the numbers over the last championships or whatever that the Blue Bloods been winning and compare them to UConn, they're going to fall right in there also. So it's just a matter of seeing, but I think UConn going to pull it off.
All right, Kyle, real quick.
Yeah, UConn, got to go with UConn. They've beat down better teams in this tournament already. Best goal for that San Diego can frustrate them with the defense and keep it close.
All right. I think they'll keep it close too. I think they San Diego State will, but I think UConn's gonna show up and show. And they might as well. And Danny Hurd is gonna get his first national championship and the fifth for UConn. So should be a good one tonight. All right, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where people can find all your work and all that good stuff.
Check me out just on Twitter at @MikeFChen, and then there's a link in my bio.
All right, nice, Mike. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely have you back on again. Probably before the college football season starts. So thank you. Enjoy the game tonight, and keep up the great work.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, stay safe, Mike. All right, that's Mike Chen from writer and blogger for Ohio State and Notre Dame. So yeah, I think Armando Sanogo is probably going to get most outstanding player honors. I think just because he's been like Mike said, he's one of those traditional big men that can doesn't move like a big guy. He can shoot the 3-pointer. I think he's going to impose his will, and I think it'll be close, but I think UConn will pull away late by 6. But I think they'll probably win by 6 or 8 points. I think.
I agree with you.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
It's gonna be some, like you said, somewhere between 5 and 8 points. It might not be the blowout some people think, but it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be worth watching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course, Jim Nance, of course, this will be his last college hoops game. I know people will know he's not retiring. He's just gonna be retiring from doing the college hoops side of it. What was like your best because you saw all the the popular circumstances, you saw the crowd gives him a standing ovation, you saw all the videos that he did. Ron Howard did a very nice, who's a good friend of his. Did a really nice video for him, beautifully done. So check it out on YouTube, you guys, or on the CBS Sports Twitter, Facebook feeds. If you guys did not see it over the weekend, what's your favorite college hoops memory that Jim Nance called, or or it could be like a maybe a post game show that he did.
Mine, I can go. Mine is when he's a tradition like no other. That's enough said. When he do that, that's enough. That means just the calm and presence of his voice. He'll make you watch it simply from the promo. So that's why I even listen to him on the basketball side, simply because his voice is calm and presence. And yeah, he get me every time with that one.
Yeah, Nance is a legend, man, and really one of the best examples of professionalism in the announcing booth. He's when you talk about the tournament alone, all those great moments where you talking about Butler and the game-winning shots, the Villanova shot, just all type of good stuff throughout the years, man. Great games. He's been that consistent voice of the tournament, and I'm glad to see that. I'm actually glad to see him step aside at this moment, though. I think Iron Eagle is going to replace him, and he's one of the best in the game too, as far as basketball and really everything, but definitely basketball. So for Nance to recognize that it's his time to step aside and to let another good talent like Iron Eagle step up to that main position, that is as good on Nance for recognizing it.
Yeah, pretty classy movie. And look, he's gonna be doing the Masters later this week. So, it's not like he's retiring. He just, he said he wants to watch as a fan. So that's what he's gonna do. So yeah, I'm sure he'll have a great call tonight. I'm sure it will be a great game. Probably not like the Lamont Butler game winner, like the Chris Jenkins game winner from, it's only been 7 years, Micah, since that buzzer beater. Jesus Christ. But oh God, time flies. But yeah, it'll be a great call. I'm sure he'll have a nice, story to close this particular chapter of his career over at CBS Sports. So it should be a good one here. You can catch that game, San Diego State and UConn at 8:00. Coverage starts at 8:00. Of course, prelude to a championship. Of course, the game I think starts at about 8:25 or something like that. So in Houston, so make sure you guys check that out. And of course, we'll take a really quick break, and of course, we'll recap the women's national championship game and some stuff that happened. And I'm sure we got a lot to say about that. We'll probably talk some NFL as well, and we're gonna keep it, old school for old school TV Monday, but we're gonna do a little bit of a current twist as well. I'll explain it coming up next. Lakeena McGee, Kyle Means, Lamont Scott, Second Scene Sports on Sports Social Chicago. We're wrapping this up coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy? I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
All right, folks. Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakeena McGee here with a couple of terrific guest co-hosts, Kyle Means and Lamont Scott. Now, all right, gentlemen. I know Lamont's been waiting all show long to talk about this. Of course, the Women's National Championship. You've got, of course, LSU winning their first hoops title among the men or women. 102-85 win over Iowa. Angel Reese had 15 points and 10 rebounds. She actually has broken a record that was held. I think there's the most double doubles that a player has had on the women's side. So nice showing by her. Also, Jasmine Carson, who the X factor we talked about with Mike earlier, Reese and a few other players. They were in foul trouble, but so she set it up. She was, I think, like 5 for 6 from 3-point range, or 7 for 5 for 6 from 3-point range in that first half to kind of keep them in it. Now, as for Caitlin Clark, though she did her thing. I mean, let's not, I'm not going to belittle her. She had 30 points, was 8 for 19 for 3-point range. Unfortunately, though, there's some stuff that happened. She got called for a tee, and people were getting Reese for doing the can't see me thing, with the rain pointing thing. But I think people also got to remember too, Caitlin Carter a couple of days before did the same thing to Haley Van Leith, who's from Louisville. I know people want to try. Oh, she did to the bench, but no, she did, because what's called Van Leaf was right there. So I don't want to hear people say that. Oh, what's she doing? No. Turnabout is fair play, folks. And look, I know if you saw Angel Reese's comments after the game, 34 double doubles. That's the most by in a single single season, I should say, as she won a national championship. So, what do you guys say, Lamont? I'll start with you, since you're from right there in that area.
I went watched it at the PMAC at the stadium. I went to the watch party yesterday, and I think they did what they were supposed to do. I wouldn't have gave Angel Reese the MVP because she really wasn't in that game. I mean, Alexis should have won the MVP with that 15 fourth quarter point. She should have won it. I mean, Jasmine kept them in it that first half. I think she was 7 for 7 in the first half, 5 for 5 from 3. So it's a situation where, because Angel was the big name, they gave it to her, but Alexis should have kind of got that most.
I think most valuable player for the whole tournament.
For the whole tournament,
yeah.
Okay. Yes, for the whole tournament. Yeah, she had a couple of double doubles during that whole tournament.
So have it for the whole tournament. But that game, I think it was a combination of the whole team. Kim Mulkey got them girls believing and playing, and even the freshmen, she was playing. So they all bought in, they all played. And the thing with the John Cena, because I'm a wrestling guy, Caitlin kind of earned that one. She kind of earned that one. She was running her mouth too. So I wasn't too upset with that. And LSU played with a lot of swag, as Coach said it herself. They play with a lot of swag and emotion, and they kind of, even like during the season, like some of their games get kind of wild, and they be rocking that Pete Maravich Center, and they might be outdrawing the men soon if they continue down this path. Because like while we was on just now, they back, and they all the channels got the whole them getting in on the boat, and they gonna have a parade. Like they've been partying since it happened, and it's like the first championship ever. So it's kind of like when the Bulls won that first time down here right now. Like it's that big. It's that big. You can get crawfish everywhere right now. Every house, everybody out. Like we used to be outside when the Bulls was winning back there. Everybody outside watching their TVs because it's like 85 tonight. So everybody's still outside celebrating. So I mean, I'm proud of them.
So Lamar, you down in Louisiana now, huh?
Yeah, I'm in Louisiana now. I'm in Baton Rouge.
Okay, in Baton Rouge. Oh, I know. Did you find a net to cut down like Lil Boosie?
No, I didn't. But that Pete Maravich Center was rocking though. It was, man. It was like they was playing there, so it was rocking.
That's
like
dope.
I said, it's not just with the girls though. I mean, the baseball team they might pull it off this year also. So I'm gonna be definitely invested in all of the LSU sports, since I stay about 10 minutes away from the stadium and from the whole campus. So I'm not that far from it. So can't wait to get like fully involved in all of that. But I'm definitely proud of LSU. Lakeena already know I got ride with LSU.
God, what about you?
That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, definitely happy for LSU program and everybody who supports them and everything. Sticking with the game itself first, they get to LSU show its mettle and its depth and its talent in that game, scoring a record number of points, outdoing Caitlin and everybody. It was, Caitlin, she wasn't a one-woman team, but she was close to it, and she just didn't have the reserves to back her up like Angel Reese and everybody else on that Tigers team. So they were just with too much to withstand in the end for Iowa. And I wouldn't have minded if Clark won, but when it came down to the whole thing with the you can't see me and the trash talking and stuff, like like y'all say, man, she did it. It was fine when she did it, and she did it in multiple games. Even in the semifinal, the national semifinal, going wave off the girl at the 3-point line. She went like she's a hooper, and she's a trash talker. She don't mind being in the heat of things, and she didn't need all this overprotection that all these people on social media wanted to give her. And they put it in the context of when. We all can read what was going on yesterday. We all seen this before in sports. We've seen this in culture. The cold naming of the cold usage of classless in an application to black athletes. These people can't be any more fake and phony about what they're doing, man. They're being hypocritical. So I don't really. I'm all for Angel Reese and what she said about representing for the girls like her and letting the girls know all across the country, black women and women in general, man, y'all can be who you want to be on the court. You don't have to be have any fake humility if you don't want to. If you want to go show up and show out on the court, do so. And that extends to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is, like say, she don't need no protection. She ain't no alabaster princess like these people want to think she is. And she's a hooper and she knows what it is, and she dealt with it well. But all these fake Clark Kents, caping up for her online, they need to shut their mouths and bring themselves up to 2023, because that's what sports is, and that's what real competition is. That's what we saw in that game yesterday, and we should applaud that on both sides and not be worried about some little feelings getting hurt.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think that's also too money probably too. I think a lot of people probably took Iowa and the point, so that's probably why. Yeah, that might be another reason why
But
people were
and
very
people
high.
probably people we know, Lakeena, people have their rooting interest for specific reasons. There were people who looked at that Iowa team and saw ideally what they want to see in major college sports. They saw a team that they can identify with, and they looked at the LSU team and saw a team that they didn't identify with, and they didn't want to root for that just off of the way that they looked and played the game. And that's BS. And we don't need that.
Quick question for you guys. You think Iowa you think she coming back next year? So you think Iowa gonna make some noise, even though they lose in the center?
Oh, yeah. If she comes back, she can. Like I said, I'm all for Caitlin Clark. I ain't got no beef with her. She's one of the best players college game has seen. And if she's on that team next year, they can win it all if they just give her enough talent around her. But I would definitely like to see wherever she's playing next year. I'm gonna be watching, whether it's the WNBA or the NCAA.
Yeah, well, I think she is coming back because I think WNBA, I think the requirement got to be 22.
She probably not old enough.
She's only 21. Also, Angel Reese is only 20 herself, and they came from the same class, so they both, assuming that they don't go overseas, they'll probably will be back. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, like Kim Mulkey, I think it should be committed. I know she said some stuff. I still side.
Yeah, she's a little problematic.
Right. You know,
Louisiana crazy. That's Louisiana.
Right. Well, yeah. Look, she won a national championship as a player in 1982 with Louisiana Tech. You guys saw with the pigtails and stuff. So yeah, she was a little play a little rough back then as well. But look, you got to commend her for it too. I mean, this is her fourth championship. She's the first women's coach to do it with two schools. So you got to commend her for that. She's now in third place, behind only Gina Oriema and, of course, the late, great Pat Summit, with 4 now. So,
great coach.
She's a great coach. However you feel about her.
And they got a great future.
Right, yeah. And they have a good future, too, because a lot of those guys are going to be coming back. A lot of them. So.
Second year, so they're going to make some more noise.
Right, yeah.
And right quick, like, if y'all want to jump in on this, too, like, we're seeing the women's game really utilize their talents, their top talents, much better than the men's game is. And when you look at the tournament overall and the rising interest in the women's tournament, so many more people are saying that they prefer the women's tournament to the men's tournament, at least in this specific year, because we're seeing the good teams last, and good teams and good players last over years and years, and we become familiar with those talents, and they become household names. And that's the type of stuff that we need in March when it comes to these tournaments. The randomness of the men's tournament can be appealing as well, but I think there's diminishing returns once you get to the Final Four. The Final Four in the women's tournament, it stands a chance to be much more memorable than what the men has provided. Even in spite of the game winner that Butler had for San Diego. If tonight is like a washout game, who are people going to be talking about more going forward? They're going to be talking about that Iowa LSU game instead of the San Diego UConn game.
And I think it's because a lot of the men's schools, a lot of them are like trying to get out. Well, I think the women are just trying to let some of them go to the WNBA. Some of them know they're going overseas. Some of them know they're never going to get to the WNBA, but they still ride it out and they play it, and it's more team orientated. And like you say, they stick around long. I think with the men's side, everybody kind of looking for that way out or that one and done situations, or how quick can I get out of this situation? Whereas the women kind of just stick it through, man, and just ride it out.
And people are noticing some things too with the women's game, like in aesthetically, like the way that the game is played, and compared to the men's game, having different things like the 4 quarters instead of the 20-minute halves. Like, people are responding to those things and seeing that, after finally paying attention to the women, saying like, man, yeah, maybe they. This is as good a game, it can be as the men's game, and it's worth watching and following.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way, but yeah, look, I love them. The women's game. It's nice to see like other teams. Virginia Tech made it to the Final Four for the first time.
Yeah.
You saw, Iowa went pretty far. This is their first Final Four on the women's side at the very least. So yeah, I think. Look, I think the whole thing's twofold, though. I think the women's game's also benefiting from transfer portals and stuff like that. So I think both, just on the women's side, their ladies have to stay. They have to stay longer, a little bit longer, because there's actually an age requirement. Guys on the men's side, you got guys that are having some are even playing their exit strategies already. So it's all kind of twofold. I think both are, I think both sports are evolving. As I see the women's game growing and such. I know people want to say, well, they should be on a football stadium. Trust me, you don't want that. You do not want that, because they're playing. I think they're playing like the men's championship. They're playing. I believe they're playing like in where the Texans play. So it's
NRG. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a little bit wonky too. So yeah, you're not ready for that particular part from the women's side just yet. But
you're not going to draw 70,000 to the women's Final Four, but having them in the Dallas stadium in the Maverick stadium where they play, that's pretty much right where they need to be, and they had a great crowd at those games.
Right. Yeah. So it was sold out. I know the Rays were pretty good too. So yeah, look, we'll see what happens. I think I said, it's all twofold, so it's all gonna kind of be right there for you. Now, a little NFL real quick. Actually, Second City Sports on Sports on Chicago. Lakeena McGee, Sydney. Kyle Means and Lamont Scott with you. Sid's actually over at the game right now. They're getting ready to have the first pitch against the Giants. How about the Sox are, first pitch is about 20 minutes. But let's talk a little NFL for a second. Now, the whole Lamar Jackson situation. We talked about it, ad nauseum here. We're over it. What do you guys think before we go to a couple of stories before we go to Old School TV Monday? What do you think about the Lamar Jackson situation, Lamont?
I'm like you said, like we've been saying on the last few shows, kind of over it. I mean, it's kind of like everybody know what they was gonna do. They know what they're gonna do. It's like we just waiting it out at this point to see what the final outcome gonna be. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have went this far. Some people should have been pulled other people aside, and this person should have talked to that person. But it shouldn't have never played out the way it's played out. It's almost like just wrong and disrespectful. And that's why you kind of get over it, because it should never have came to all this. And I believe in my heart, though, if that was somebody else, it would have never came to all of this. Like, never.
Kyle?
Yeah, a lot of hard lessons are being learned, I think, for Lamar and his camp, and even for Baltimore. Like, I think, as a team, you have to send there's certain messages that you can send to to the rest of the league as far as the way that you value your players and your top players in particular. Like, but the one thing about the NFL though is that they seem to be more willing to, for lack of a better word, collude with each other. To do things to reset the markets that they have for players and maintain the control that they have as ownership. So, it's a cold world out there when it comes to these money matters. And I wish that it was more of just a straight up thing where Baltimore saw what it had in this guy and was able to value him enough to keep him in place. But I think eventually they're just going to play it out, and it's probably going to end with their relationship probably ending after next year as opposed to this year. And us, I wouldn't mind seeing him traded to another team, but what team is really invested in doing that right now? I don't know.
Yeah, you got the Colts. We'll see. The Panthers, we know, will they want to trade the number one pick? The Texans too. I mean, look, there's a lot to discuss here as far as Jackson's concerned, but it's going to be interesting because I kind of feel like Lamar needs an agent. I think like you said, Kyle, there's like some lessons that are being learned here with him, and the agent thing is just silly. I know I've heard some people say, well, it's not going to make a difference. Well, actually, yes, it can, because they can actually salvage this at this point. So, it is what it is with that. Now, going locally to the Bears for a second, Jalen Carter, is actually meeting with the Bears as we speak. Of course, a former Georgia defensive tackle, couple of national championships. It's a second visit with them, and he visited the Eagles. I don't think he'll be that far, but it's he's declining a visit request for any team drafting outside the top 10. So I'm wondering, like, do you guys think, especially with all the legal stuff that he went through, do you guys think the Bears should take a chance on, because he's been their guy all along? So what do you guys think, Kyle? I'll start with you. I know it's hard, right? It's hard.
I heard all that, bro. I heard all that.
Yeah, I think I see. But for real though, it's the stuff that happened with that car accident and everything. It's hard for me to get over that, man. But at the same time, he's still a young guy, and he made a mistake that I'm sure that he really regrets. So maybe he can't get beyond that. I think in looking at it, strictly from the Bears sense, if they, like I say, they're talking to him a lot, they're going to get a full sense of who he is going into draft day. And if they feel comfortable enough with him, I think they're going to have a chance, I think, to pick him at number 9. And if they feel comfortable enough with him as a person, go ahead and do it, because as a player, he fits so much of what they need at that. Like I say, he's the ideal. Many say he's the ideal 3 technique defensive lineman, and that's what Matt Eberflus wants in his defense, to center around. So I trust. I'm a trust in the Bears front office and the scouts and their guys who are going to be interacting with Carter. And if they feel he's the guy, then go ahead and pick him at 9. But if not, maybe they should think about trading down again and seeing about picking up another first or second round pick this year.
I mean, like you said, that was a horrible situation. And sometimes when you're young, you do some horrible situation and you mess up a few things. I kind of hearken it back to, Ray Lewis made a big mistake, but he never stopped him from getting to the Hall of Fame. So, I think when you're young, you do stuff. And I think he probably can overcome it. And I believe because of all the loss, it may give him a certain kind of drive that's different now. He may be even better than what he was. And like you say, with the Bears brass, if they've been talking to him, if they okay with it, like, I wouldn't be mad at them if they done it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they did their due diligence and did their homework, I wouldn't be mad at it at all. But I mean, second chances are a blessing sometimes for people, and they can go in a whole different direction. That could be, like you said, that defense missing piece. They're going out getting more pieces. That could be the piece that gives them a solidified future going forward on that defense. So, I mean, if I was the brass, I probably would take it. Especially if I've spoken to him, I probably would take a shot on him and get it. That's
Okay, so all right, folks, we're going to be going into Old School TV Monday, as apparently, I guess, Twitter has changed their logo, which looks like a dog or a fox, but that's a whole different thing here. Okay, Elon, all right, I see what you did there, but all right, let's. Yeah, no. So
we gotta look for something. We might have to look for something else real soon, man.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see there. But it's time for Old School TV Monday. Now we're gonna change it up a little bit here, since this happened. This is actually still going on as we speak. We actually just finished the 39th edition of this particular event. But of course, I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Well, I'm talking about WrestleMania. That's right. We got a WrestleMania. The very first WrestleMania took place at Madison Square Garden. Well, actually, Madison Square Garden back in 1985. And of course, the first match there was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff, I should say. And of course, Muhammad Ali and Patrick Patterson as a special guest referee. So that was a pretty funny moment. There, of course, over the years, it's been at various places all over the country, also in Canada too. WrestleMania 6, was in Canada at the Sky Dome, where the Blue Jays used to play, and of course, some of the other places has been at. Of course, at the Nassau Coliseum, has been in Boston. I think California has actually had the most times been in Los Angeles or in that area. They play it took place at SoFi Stadium. It just wrapped up last night. The 40th edition of WrestleMania will actually take place next year in Lincoln Financial Field. That's where the Eagles play. So it's gonna be in Philly. So that should be interesting.
Well,
How they're gonna.
Lakeena can't forget it's been in the Chicago area. We should
Of
say
course, yeah.
three times.
Rosemont.
Three
Well,
times,
Rosemont.
yeah.
Three
And I've
times
been
at
there.
Rosemont. Yeah, all state
I'm gonna
arena.
date myself. I'm gonna date myself with this one, but I was at WrestleMania 2. So I've been to all the
Oh
ones.
wow.
I've been to all the ones in Chicago. I've been to Texas. I've been to Detroit. That's when I used to do a wrestling show too on the radio. So yeah, I've been in it like since way back then. Like I got kind of hooked in like the early '80s down here. One of my relatives was friends with the Junkyard Dog. I got a chance to meet him and Andre the Giant when I was little, and that just hooked me. So when WrestleMania came out, and especially when 2 came out, they had it in 3 locations. It was like in Madison Square Garden, Chicago, and in LA. So I went to the Chicago portion of the card, and then when they came back for WrestleMania 13 and WrestleMania 22, I was at them too. But they will never come back unless the Bears get a new stadium. They'll be back. But if the Bears don't get a new stadium, they're not coming because they want to put 80,000 like they did last night. 2 nights, 80,000 people. But last night was spectacular. They had a moment. This girl, she actually went. Bianca Belair, the champion. She went out and got the Divas of Compton, little girl dancing group, to bring her out because they spend like extra budget on WrestleMania. So she wanted the little girls to bring her out and dance to her theme. So she was like, "I'm all about empowering young Black women that want to follow me." So that was actually the matches was cool, but that was the most interesting moment. I mean, Logan Paul, he did his thing or whatever. Snoop Dogg did his thing or whatever.
I was just gonna say that that was wild with Snoop. I watched both nights too, Lamont. I'm into wrestling as well, so I'm glad to be on today to talk a little bit about that. But Lakeena being at Old School Monday, when you look at that first WrestleMania, it's embedded in the history and the DNA of the event has been that celebrity involvement. Right. And like say to going up to today with Snoop and Logan Paul and Bad Bunny was involved on Saturday night too. Like the WWE just is really unparalleled in regards to performing at that level with where it incorporates crossover superstars involved with their own homegrown superstars. Right. And they produce new superstars every year when it comes to the likes of John Cena and The Rock and Hulk Hogan, going back, and Andre the Giant. And you look at somebody like Bianca Belair, I think she's the closest thing they got right now to a new John Cena, where she is beloved by the children and she's really a positive role model type. And as a Black woman, just bringing a new dynamic to the ring, like she's awesome. And they had a lot of great matches. I think when you look at Roman Reigns, he's another guy who can be like a new action star, like The Rock, who is his cousin actually. Like they just know how to do it, and this company is going to get a lot of attention going forward. We hear today about them merging with the UFC and Endeavor. It's big money involved with the money. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the stage getting bigger and bigger with the WWE, and it's big time stuff now, and it is going to be going forward.
And it all started from the first one. That first one.
Yep. That was the difference. Yeah.
And not to date myself again, but I actually went and watched that at the Rosemont, but it was on closed circuit television back then. That was before pay-per-view. I had to go watch it on closed circuit back then.
But I think the first 15 or 20 WrestleManias were in closed circuit television. That's the only way you were able to watch them back then. And until, of course, they realized that they could make money off of it, so they started doing it on pay-per-view, and it's been that way ever since. I could say like my favorites, a couple of my favorites, of course, when Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 5 in Atlantic City. That was a fun matchup, final matchup there. Of course, Ric Flair, also Randy Savage. That was back in 1990, WrestleMania 8. That was kind of like the height of the popularity for pro wrestling. So that was kind of like sort of the the golden age, I should say, with WrestleMania. So that kind of sort of manifested. Like I said, I haven't watched a WrestleMania in I think like 20 years. I think the last one was like 19. The one in Seattle over at Safeco Field. That's where the Mariners used to play. So that was of course Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. That was probably like the last one I saw because I felt it was kind of sort of like one of those things where it was sort of the matches weren't that good that year, and I think that's probably where people were, but like it's good to know there's still an audience for it, which is great. I know you guys and like a lot of other folks still watch it, and still, you got a lot of great matchups and such. So, like I said, those are, you got Triple H, and of course, Lesnar, back when he was, is still around. The Undertaker, remember that, Sasha Banks. So, Bianca Belair, you guys just mentioned. So, it's
well, Lakeena, I'll say right quick. I know you into the soap operas. I think if you look back
in the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
If you want to get into what's going on now, look at the Bloodline saga.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best. Yeah, that's one of the best storylines on TV right now.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah,
that's one of the best storylines on all the TV right now. So.
I still like. I still follow
this
it,
is a good time to get back into it.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know the crowds were big, like you guys said at SoFi last night. We know how much that could hold. That could hold about 85,000 people. So
81.
Yeah. So.
SoFi's it looked great, and like Lamont said, that's one of the reasons to root for the Bears getting a new stadium so that they can have. They could bring Mania back here. It'll be in Arlington. It won't be in the city, but that's probably for the best anyway. So
exactly.
There's gonna be a lot of crowds.
Right. Exactly. So So what? Real quick, let's go. What your favorite WrestleMania? I know I told you guys mine. What are your favorites of all time?
I'm gonna go with 13 when Steve Austin fought Bret Hart.
Yes.
And he beat them, and Steve didn't quit. He just passed out. He couldn't take no more. So that was good. But 22 when Edge put Cactus Jack through the flaming table, that was pretty high too. So
that was pretty funny.
It all go back to, like you said though, Lakeena, to the first one and like that second one. Being there at that second one, like that kind of shaped my whole wrestling situation for like all the way up until now. Like being there and just feeling the energy from WrestleMania. It's like that'd be some serious energy in them buildings, man. That'd be some serious energy. So that probably would be my favorite though. Austin and Austin.
Yeah, I'll probably go back to some of my childhood, where like you mentioned 8 in Indianapolis. That was a key one, and the Attitude Era ones when Austin got the title for the first time, beating Shawn Michaels. I think that was 14, and The Rock. His 3 matches with The Rock he wound up having in I think 15, 17, and 18, and I had a little period where I wasn't watching too much, but I got back into it when The Rock came back to fight John Cena about 10 years ago. And that was a big one, and I think that was in New York when they first opened the new stadium in New Jersey, I should say, the Giant Stadium. So that was big, and following the Undertaker streak going up to a few years ago. And 30 with Daniel Bryan overcoming the Authority, and winning the belts at the end. And Kofi Kingston, 35, winning the title.
Oh yeah,
beating Daniel Bryan. That was a moment for all the brothers right there. That was a great moment.
Oh yeah, I saw I saw Twitter that day. A whole lot of folks were celebrating that day when that happened. So that was good. Like I said, I also like at the old Hoosier Dome that that one was. So that was a good WrestleMania there. What were we gonna say, Lamont? I'm sorry.
No, I was just not gonna say, I know we on WrestleMania, but they opened up the United Center with a SummerSlam.
Yes.
That was the first event in the
94,
that night too.
Yep. Oh,
Walter Payton was in Shawn Michaels' corner that night. So
Yep, absolutely. Right. Well, look, it's great to go down memory lane and stuff. The old Rosemont, they did like about 3 or 4 of these WrestleManias and such. So the Cena Triple H one in 06 at now the Intimate All-State Arena. So that was a pretty good one too. But
it amazed me too how big they made. Like those, I think that might have been one of the last ones that they had in a arena that size.
Right.
But they made it look so much bigger than it actually was. Like you look at those crowds in that one, like I think they fit like 25,000 in there,
Yep.
and it's really normally like 22, 23,000. So, you know, it was great to see those shows in Rosemont, but yeah, they gotta do something bigger now and bring it back to Chicago.
We need
Yeah,
the stadium.
Right.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
We get the
Right.
stadium, they coming.
Yeah,
Because this
and
one of their original homes. They coming, but we need
right.
that stadium.
Right, because
Oh
they
yeah,
used
they
to only
love to
hold.
perform in Chicago.
Oh yeah, they love Chicago. So yeah, I think I heard one of the guys said that they hope to come back to Chicago at some point because they said they love it here and we know it's big here. So and of course we all remember 32 in the old AT&T well now the new AT&T stadium I should say like one of the first years open had 101,000 people, which is under 102,000 people over at Jury's World. So look, the audience is there, folks. Yeah, hopefully it'll be back here. Hopefully it'll be back here in the city sometime soon. So yeah, it's if you guys will get a chance, I'm sure the stuff's on YouTube. I'm sure, so it's all right there for you. So old school TV Monday salutes, and also gives a shout out to WrestleMania. And okay, Kyle, I'll start with you. Where people can find you on your social media and all your great work.
Yes, War Media at War Media on all the major platforms: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Of course, you can search for War Media. And on Spotify podcast, you can search for us. All the major podcast platforms as well. You can get the podcast version of this show, Second City Sports, as well as other shows we produce. Open Run, which is about basketball at all levels. At Bat, a great show with Saul Rodriguez.
Yes.
On the Major League Baseball, and we also do a show called Fandemonium that's about like pop culture and all different types of subjects of that creativity that we like, the things that make us go wild in movies and film and the like. And just keep up with all of our War Media stuff. We love to support, to tell friends about stuff that you like from us. And of course, myself personally, Means Matters on Twitter and at KMean on IG.
Yeah, hopefully we get Saul on this show at some point. I know he's a big baseball fan, so I know he would love to come on. So Lamont, where people can follow you?
Just Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
All right, of course, you guys can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG. Of course, you can follow this show, Second City Sports, every Monday, every Friday on Sports on Chicago on Facebook or on YouTube. Keep your questions and comments right there. Subscribe, like, tell your friends. Of course, you get the audio version on the War Media Podcast. You get that wherever you get your podcasts and such. Just also, too, of course, we're also on, let me see here,
Roku.
Roku. Yes, Roku. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Roku. You guys got it. Thank you guys for the assist. Roku TV. So celebrate with the squad. Go to your Play Store, the Roku TV app. Just type in Sports on Chicago. You can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas. What's up, cousin? I think What's up, cousin? I think they're gonna be previewing the national championship game tonight for between San Diego State and UConn. So we'll I'm sure they'll have a great preview for that as well. So yeah, of course you can follow our show anywhere you want, right there for you. So make sure you guys check that out. So enjoy the baseball. I know the Sox gonna be are about to pitch. I think they've already started first pitch against the Giants as we speak. Of course, the Cubs game as well will be later on with the Reds. So enjoy all the baseball. And it's Masters week after tonight. So all you golf fans, will try to get somebody on to talk a little Masters for you as well. Enjoy, of course, all the great NBA and NHL too, because they're starting to wrap up their season as well. So a lot of stuff happening this week, this time of year in sports. So I think it's great. So you guys enjoy it all. Stay safe. I know weather-wise it's been a little bit crazy in some parts of the country, especially here in the Midwest, but just be safe out there, stay dry, and enjoy the sports. For Lamont and Kyle, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports on Sports So Chicago. So we'll be back on Friday, and so will I. So we'll see you guys on Friday.
Thanks, y'all.
See y'all.